I can't believe it's been about 20 years since my last flare up with eczema. It started with just a little rash on the back of my hand. It would just be persistent, irritated, burning. So I went to see a dermatologist. I got prescribed antibiotics and a steroid cream. After that, I thought I was in the clear, but no. It spread onto my cheeks. It spread all the way. Oh my God, oh, it was so bad. And it spread all the way to my eyelids. I remember my eyelids were like thick, and it would go through this cycle of when it started, it would dry up like lizard skin. I would be scaly and it would be textured. And once that kind of shed off, I would feel a little bit normal. And so that was when I could make dinner dates with my friends, because I looked, I felt like, okay, I can go out in public. I was very insecure about it at the time. It was just horrible. And then the itching was never ending. It was just constantly, I just wanted to do this all day long. Okay. And then I felt like, let me use a little bit of that leftover steroid cream for just special occasions. I would just kind of spot use it, but I know how bad it was for you. So that I kept at bay. I kind of transitioned into hydrocortisone after the shower. When my face was damp, I would just take a little bit and just spread that out as much as I could. And I just kind of like went through that. I wouldn't put anything else on. I wouldn't do any sunscreen. I would just try not to put any foundation. So kind of living at that time, just doing the hydrocortisone, I got introduced to Mario Badescu Control Cream. And that thing was gold. There was a cult following for this cream. It was like everybody loved it. And I was on it for a bit. Now I kept this throughout the years because I cannot throw it away. I have like trauma bonding to this. And I used it so sparingly because here you can see there's a little bit left in there still. Can't believe it's still so bright blue. But this thing was like, it gave me a new lease on life. I loved it so much. They discontinued this. And when that happened, there was a frenzy. I mean, I was in a tizzy myself, trying to get another, container of it, but I could not find it. And when I had Googled it, what had happened was there was a big scandal, because when Mario Badescu as a product line was going into South Korea to be sold there, their drug agency, I guess, did a extensive research into the ingredients, and they had found that this one in particular was high in steroids, unbeknownst to anybody. And so there was like a class action lawsuit and all that happened. And I thought, well, if Korea is that stringent, I've got to, look more into their skincare lines. Because at that time I was trying, Estee Lauder and Clinique and La Mer. I was trying all kinds of things here. So when I went, at that time, there wasn't even any Olive Young's. I went to a place called Shikor, and that was more like a Sephora there. And the young lady who helped me was very kind. She had suggested a few lines like Dear Claire's and Lagome and Huxley, all kinds of things. When I brought that back home, my skin had a tendency to be great the first 2 days with any new product. But then after that, it was like first day, second day, and then after the third day, it was like pissed off. And then it would go through the cycle again of the shedding and all of that stuff. So I knew, okay, if it works beyond 3 days, it was gonna be good. And I did find that Dear Claire's worked well for me. That was, so working with that, I also came across this here. This is called sea buckthorn oil. It has a carrier, but it's very high in omega-7s. So this, along with the Dear Claire's, I would just put this on it just would soothe everything, but it smells like very earthy, very natural, which I guess, I gotta say, I can take the smell for the calmness. So that was the trade-off with that. And my sister suggested an elimination diet. So I got off of dairy and eggs for at least 3 months. The butter was the hardest part of it, but I did it. And I feel like kind of that is my weak spot. I think when I have a lot of sour cream or cream cheese, it will start to flare up really badly. So I know I have to not eat that. And currently, along with the really mild product line that I use, And I switch around, and I'll do a part 2 on what I use on a daily basis in my routine. But right now I also do, every 3 months, I will do microneedling. And the first time I did that, my skin was bleeding, and it was red and raw for about 3 days. And I just was like, oh my God, what did I do? But my skin barrier was so beat up from that steroid that I needed to kind of build it back and make it stronger. So now when I get microneedling done, it will be pink for about maybe an hour or two, and so much better. So she's looking pretty good. I'm so happy with it now, and no flare-ups. So that was, it's my journey. That's what worked for me. So for those of you who are battling eczema out there and psoriasis, don't despair. There's hope. If I can get through this, there is something out there that will work for you.